Hey, stay tuned for a special episode of Dish It Out. We're going nuts today. We're going to have some pecan diamonds and some almond crepes with a stone fruit compote. You're going to love it. Stay tuned. Hey, and welcome to Dish It Out. This special edition, we have some pecan diamonds on the menu today, and it was something I learned in culinary school, and it's become a tradition to make at our house, and I thought who better to help me make it but our pastry chef, Chef Rita Bollenbaum, is going to join me and help us make these. How are you, Rita?
I'm fine, Doug, and happy to be here with you.
All right, so now we're going to start off, this pecan diamond is almost like a pecan pie, a little thicker, on a short dough cookie. And so it's a terrific dish. So we're going to start off by making our short dough cookie. And we're going to start off by adding our butter and sugar, and we're going to blend these together. And what's this process called again?
The creaming method.
Okay. And this is something we teach here in our baking and pastry class. We're going to cream these together, and you want your butter softened. We have 1 1/4 cups of butter that's been softened. And we're going to add in 3/4 cup of sugar. And we're just going to let them blend together and just let them mix until we have almost like a smooth consistency. That's what we're looking for here.
Scrape it down.
I got to scrape down the sides, make sure that we get it all well blended. And this is something that you can make in a mixer at home. If you were feeling ambitious, you could actually cream these together by hand.
Next.
Okay. Next, we're going to add in a whole egg. And of course, anytime you see an egg in a recipe, it's going to be a large egg. We're going to add our egg and a teaspoon of vanilla. Can I add the vanilla?
Yes.
Okay. That's 1 teaspoon of vanilla. A good quality vanilla is going to make a difference. And blend these together.
Looking good. Looking very good. Now we can add our flour.
Okay. So with this flour, this is cake flour.
Correct.
Now, what if I used all-purpose flour?
You would have a higher protein count, and it would be a little tougher.
Okay.
So always use what the recipe calls for.
Okay. It also calls for this flour to be sifted. I don't really have the patience for sifting.
Well, then, Doug, you would be like one of my students this morning and asked me, what are those little white spots in my cake? And I said it was unsifted flour.
So if I don't sift my flour, I'm going to get lumps.
Exactly.
Oh, I don't like lumps, especially my short dough. Now, can we add all the flour at once with this?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
You just have to be very, very, very careful. And
make sure the mixer's not on high so we don't wear the flour.
yes, so also I can give you a little tip that I give my students. If you give me a piece of parchment paper, okay, so we don't mess up our counter space, and just put a little piece of paper around, turn the machine on, and this way you can take a little peek, and the clips of flour will come out.
But see, the problem, Chef, is it's not good for the camera. We can't, we're not magicians here behind the curtain, and voila, we have.
Well, we like to be nice and neat,
We have
Doug.
dough. I know.
Okay, we're almost there. And we're only going to mix until it's incorporated. We don't want to overmix.
So if we see a uniform color, all that white blends in, we're good.
We're just about there.
Now what's going to happen if we overmix?
Again, your cookie will come out, your short dough will come out tough. It could be very crumbly. There's a lot of causes when you overmix, and that's what you'll learn when you come to classes.
Okay. This is why you should look us up on the web mccc.edu/HRIM and see all the fun stuff we have to offer here, including baking and pastry classes.
Okay.
Okay, that's it, huh?
That's it. It's as easy
Okay.
as that.
So what we're going to do with this now is we need to put this out, and parchment paper, and we go through a lot of parchment paper here, and it's readily available in any supermarket. Restaurant Supply, you can buy a little cheaper, which I'm always for cheaper. But the advantage is that it's non-stick quality, bakes really well. So we're going to put this out onto the parchment paper, and we're going to refrigerate this dough for about an hour, just to let it firm up. Typically, when I do something like this, I like to get it generally into the shape that I'm going to want for the next step. So we're going to put this into a half sheet pan. So we want to get it into sort of a rectangle shape, and you can actually fold the parchment paper in on itself to help you get that shape. Now we could achieve the same thing by getting that non-stick quality, but we'd end up throwing flour all over the table, and I don't know, it's a little less to clean up. If you cheat and use the parchment paper, it works really well.
Just fold it in that. You can take your rolling pin.
Now what kind of rolling pin is that?
This is just a French rolling pin, just a regular rolling pin.
But it doesn't have any handles on the side.
Well, we don't use those.
Well, why not? Okay, you're more likely to find these in a commercial kitchen.
True, and each type of rolling pin has a certain purpose. Okay, I have my favorite. This isn't it, but it's okay.
Okay.
So I hold on to the paper like so, and then just roll.
Okay.
Reverse it this way and roll. And you develop very, very strong arm muscles.
So while I'm making dessert with 1 million calories, I can work off some of those calories while I'm preparing it, right? Okay. Good. We want to get a fairly consistent thickness on this, and we're going to take our dough, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to throw it in the refrigerator for about an hour. All right, let's do that. We'll see you in an hour. And we've refrigerated our dough for about an hour.
About an hour.
And so now we're ready to roll it out. And we can see that you folded it up to get that rectangle shape. So we're mostly there. So we're ready to roll, literally.
Okay.
So now it did not come right out of the refrigerator. We actually, it's refrigerated for an hour. We had to let it soften up a little bit. So you can see we got a little, if you were to pick it up, you can see actually how it folds over. It's starting to break there a little bit, you can see. So you're about the consistency that you want, but you're ready to roll it out. So we just want to roll this out big enough to fit our half sheet pan, all right, or cookie sheet, depending on what you call it at home. Either way, it's about the same size. Traditionally, a short dough cookie is not overly sweet, which is good because the pecan filling that's going to go on top of this is very sweet, but oh so good.
Just a little bit more.
So when we roll this out, we're actually going to put it partway up the sides of the sheet pan, and that's going to help prevent the pecan filling from sticking to the sides of our sheet pan. And I notice you're always starting from the middle, it seems.
Well, yes. This way, it's all one. You need it to be thickness.
Okay, so we want it consistent throughout.
Exactly.
Okay. Otherwise, you end up with a pecan diamond where you have filling this thick on one and that thick on the other.
You're looking pretty good.
That wouldn't do. Okay. So if you have it a little too thick on one side versus the other, you're just going to take it and push it on over to where you need it.
Pretty much like pie dough.
And much like pie dough, if you're making this at home and it tears or it rips and you got to put a patch in there, go ahead and do it. Especially with this filling. This filling is, once it's done and cooked, it's almost like caulk. It's going to hold that cookie together. So you needn't worry about your cookie crumbling.
So we can see how far we need to go.
Okay.
Almost there.
So, pretty close to size here.
Yeah, you want it to come up the edge.
Just a bit.
So it won't stick to the pan.
Okay.
And we'll fill the edges in. The corners have to be filled in. You don't want the filling to seep underneath the short dough because it won't come out of the pan.
And the other thing we're going to do, we're actually going to bake this on the sheet of parchment paper so it doesn't stick to the sheet pan. And you see it's coming right off. If you find it starting to stick, what you can actually do is use your hand, create some friction, it heats it up just a little bit, and so then you can pull it off more readily. All right.
Nice.
So we're going to toy with this dough a little bit, make it so it fits our pan. Okay, so we have our dough spread out throughout the sheet pan here. So what do we have to do with it next? Can we throw it in?
No, Doug, you have to dock it first. And there's two ways you can dock. You can have a docking tool.
I like that. I like tools.
This is a very professional tool. Or you can use a fork.
Okay.
So why don't you take...
Okay. And we just want to prevent... Oh, that's fun. We just want to prevent it from bubbling up.
Air pockets form.
Right.
And make bubbles. So this way it helps it.
And what I've done is after you get it in the oven, just check it after a few minutes and make sure it's not puffing up anywhere. So if it is, you just
dock it
with your fork and
Okay.
Give it a few good shots. Okay, we're going to bring this over to the oven, 350 degree oven. So now you can, all right. And now we did one a little earlier. This is at 350 degrees. And you can see that it's we baked it without color.
Yes.
Because this is going to go back in the oven after we put our filling in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this off to the side and let this cool while we do our filling. Okay, this next part is pretty straightforward. We're going to put everything in a pot and bring it to a boil.
Correct.
And so we're going to start off with 2 cups of butter. Again, softened. It's a nice pile of butter we have here. And our pot is on. And we're actually going to be bringing this up to a boil, if you wouldn't mind, Chef. Thank you. And we're going to add 2 cups of light brown sugar. If you have dark brown sugar in the house, that's fine. Just this recipe can get a little dark. And you can see we have a nicely formed cup. All right, you want to pack it in there. You don't have to go too crazy, but you want to make sure there's no air pockets in there, so we get 2 full cups of brown sugar. And we're also going to add in 1 cup of granulated sugar. And all these sugars are going to blend together. I told you this is going to be plenty sweet on top of a short dough cookie. And what goes better with sugar and butter than something sweet like honey? So we're going to add a cup of honey right in here.
Did you spray your container with veggie spray before you?
My honey container? Well, why would I do that?
Because then you would not have to go in there with the spatula and scrape it all out. It would just come out naturally.
Okay. See, that's one of the tricks that you learn here.
Behind.
Right, we're cheap here. We want to utilize everything to the best of our ability. We want no waste. So had we sprayed that glass bowl with a little vegetable spray, all that honey would have come right out, made it a little easier. And last thing we're going to add to this is our ½ cup of heavy cream. We're actually going to bring this up to 240 degrees.
That's what you learn when you come to Mercer County, is the stages of cooked sugar. And 240 is probably one of the most common sugar temperatures that we use.
Okay.
We use it for our buttercreams.
We have our temperature probe that attaches right to the side of the pot here. You just want to make sure it gets close to the bottom of the pot without actually touching the bottom of the pot. Otherwise, it's going to give us a false reading, and we're going to think we're hotter than we really are. All right, so we're going to leave this on until it boils. You can see our butter is starting to melt in here. You want to stir this continuously so your butter doesn't separate all and float to the top. We want to keep it nice and mixed. And this is unsalted butter, by the way. What would happen if we had salted butter in here by mistake, Chef?
Well, you would have to adjust the salt in the recipe.
There is no salt in the recipe. So we'd end up with a salty cookie, wouldn't we?
Be over salted. If there was salt in the butter and you added salt, then it would be too much salt. So that's why in pastry shops we always use unsalted butter, and then we can control the flavor better.
So now we're up to 144 degrees here. Once we start getting close, we need to have another 100 degrees to go, but with the pot this thick, it's going to hold the heat in. So once we start approaching it, we actually are going to need to turn the heat down so we don't scorch our filling, which could be all too common. And most of our butter is about melted in, so our continuous stir continues.
If that should burn, it would permeate the whole batter.
Right, so if it sticks and starts, if it gets too hot in one spot, that's it, the whole batch is done, huh?
It's done and you have to start over again.
Oh.
So you can't walk away from it, and you do have to continuously stir.
It really does help to have a thermometer. And if you want to do it by eye and just bring it up to a boil, you can see we're coming up to a boil here now, and we're only at 190 degrees. So I'm going to back off the heat just a little bit, because we don't want to scorch, as Chef mentioned earlier. And the sugar, once it gets this hot, this is like napalm. You don't want to splatter it and get it on your hands. It'll leave a very nasty burn, and it tends to stick to your skin. It does not readily come off. Backing off the heat, I'm at about 217 degrees here. Just boil. When I turn down the heat, that pot is still continuing to heat through because it is so thick. Once we hit that magic number of 240 degrees, we're going to take this whole thing off the heat, and we're going to add all of our pecans all at once. We're boiling away. We're at 240 degrees. We're going to take this on off, right off the heat source. I'll get my thermometer out of the way. We have here our 7.5 cups of pecans. I have the whole pecans here. You can use broken pieces, and they'll still come out fine. These I just think look nicer for presentation. Dump these in all at once, and make sure we coat them all evenly. You can see it almost looks a little bit soupy, but once we get this all in our pan and bake it off in the oven, it's going to firm up for us. So what I like to do is I like to pour it in the four corners to make sure it's easier to spread around. And we just want to get our pecans evenly spread before we put it in our oven. And you can see where we have the crust up along the edge. That's going to help prevent it from sticking to the sides. If you have a spot where it may hit the sides, actually, we look good. So we have it all spread around evenly, and we're good to go. So this is now going to go into a 350-degree oven, and it's going to take about 40 minutes. And again, after about 20 minutes, you want to turn the pan to make sure it cooks evenly. Okay. And we have one that we put in a little bit ago, and that's ready to come out. And it's a nicely done.
Nice job.
So what we have to do is we have to let this cool. Ideally, you're going to let this sit for a day before you go and cut it up. So I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay.
This has been cooling for a day. All right. So now what we need to do is get this out of the pan.
Correct.
And if you have a problem, what you can do is, you know, I'm using a pizza cutter here, but you want to loosen it up from the side of the pan. And you can see it's going to hold together. I mean, you can almost get it out in one piece. But we're going to cheat a little bit. So we're going to use a cutting board to flip it over, then flip it back before we go ahead and cut ours up. So I'll let you do the honors. This way, if it breaks, it's your fault. Okay. There you are. There's our short dough here.
Lift it up.
And gently place it down. Oh, there we go.
And there we go.
And we're ready to cut up into our diamonds. You can use a pizza cutter, all right, a pastry wheel, or a knife, whatever you're more comfortable with. A lot of times what I'll do at home is you can take off some of the edges. So if you want to do that, that's an easy alternative to start with. And we make kind of like pecan sticks out of those. So it gets off that crust piece, so no one gets a piece of the crust on their finished product. It's only a half sheet pan, but believe me, it makes plenty of diamonds. All right, so put some of our. And what we're going to do now is just cut it up into a diamond pattern. Now, if you're not practiced at getting straight lines, which a lot of people are not, you want something for an edge, you can use actually a piece of paper, your parchment paper that you have. That would work fine. I'm just going to kind of eye it up here. And if you wanted to get crazy with it, you can go ahead and get yourself a yardstick. All right, but now you can see we're going to, maybe I'll make another row here. This is going to get kind of sticky. What a surprise, right? Mm. Now, depending on how much you like your friends and the people you're giving these to will determine how big you want to make your pieces here.
Correct.
All right. Now, we just want to cut them to our diamond shape. And I probably could have gone a little sharper angle here, but that's okay. So you get the idea. So we have our pecan diamond here, that nice short dough cookie here, a nice pecan filling up top. It's a very sweet treat, but also very good. So that's how we make our pecan diamonds. We're going to plate these up, and actually we're going to snack on these. Well, thanks for joining us for this segment of Dish It Out here at the beautiful Culinary Center at Mercer County Community College. So we'll see you next segment. Thanks for joining us.
哦，先生你好，歡迎光臨，等等先。誒，唔該晒。
Brandon.
Hi, I'm Doug Fee. I'm the coordinator of the hospitality programs here at Mercer County Community College. I'd like to take a moment to talk to you about one of our new programs here in culinology. You can earn an associate's degree in culinology. It's a blending of the culinary arts and food science, a way to train not just research chefs, but the next generation of research chefs. The program is designed to teach you the culinary arts skills that you'll need here in our kitchens at Mercer, designed then to transfer up to the nationally recognized Rutgers University Food Science program, where you can complete your 4-year degree. Along the way, we'll help train you so that you can qualify to become a certified research chef through the Research Chefs Association. It's a phenomenal opportunity if you like to play with food and develop new products and new concepts for both food manufacturers and restaurant chains. So if you're interested, please give me a call. I'd love to talk to you. You can reach me at 609-570-3447. Or if you feel more comfortable, send me an email. You can reach me at feed, F-E-E-D, @mccc.edu. And we'll set up some time to talk and see if this career can be right for you.
You're unique. So are we at Mercer County Community College. Over 60 majors to choose from. Discover your unique path. And turn your passion into a career. Small classes and enthusiastic professors. Follow your unique path here at Mercer County Community College.
We have our crepes made. We're ready to make our fruit compote. So is this hard to make, Alyssa?
I don't think it's that difficult. As long as you follow the recipe and you really pay attention to what you're doing.
Okay.
It won't be that hard.
I know one of the things you have to watch out for is letting your pan get too hot. That's what I heard.
Yes.
Okay. So how much butter do we add in there?
About an ounce of butter.
Okay. And is that the unsalted butter?
Yes.
Okay. Good. So you want to actually go the
Yeah, a little bit.
other way for the minimum. Think, right? No, I'm telling you to do the best. Okay.
All right. Now I'm going to add about an ounce of light brown sugar.
Okay. I see some granulated sugar up here next. Did you get something in there?
Yes. About a pinch of nutmeg to taste.
All right. We have a nice golden brown color in our pan. That's looking good.
All right. Now I'm going to add some white sugar and the nutmeg. And let me raise the heat a little bit.
Yeah, you gotta balance that line. We have just enough heat to keep your sugar melted, but not so hot, because once that sugar heats up and starts to scorch,
Yep.
it's a goner.
All right. So now I'm going to add my fruits, which are dried cherries. Probably going to do half of this.
Okay, yeah, that can be a little overpowering if you're not careful.
And a little bit, let me lower the heat up just a little bit. And some plums.
You hear that moisture hitting the pan,
Yep.
that hot sugar. It's deceptive how hot that sugar can get.
And some peaches.
Okay. We're working with all our stone fruits today.
Yep. Alright.
Okay, and they heat up in no time.
Now I'm gonna make a little room in the middle real quick. And I'm gonna add some brandy.
Ooh. Okay. Just gonna get fired up on us.
Yep. And I'm gonna add it along the side.
Okay. Okay, do that very carefully, because you're not careful, that brandy hits the flame and you're on fire. Yeah.
That would not be good.
No. Generally, we frown upon our students lighting themselves on fire, and I'm sure Chef Engel does the same.
Yes.
Oh, that's smelling terrific.
Alright, so
And that
Looks
alcohol
about
evaporates out of there, and it just leaves us the flavor of the brandy.
yep.
Okay.
Alright. It should be about ready.
Okay.
Turn off the flame. Okay. I'm going to pour this on top of my crepes.
And the smells of the fruit is just coming up right through the through with the brandy. Oh, that looks good.
And then I'm going to put 2 scoops of ice cream on top
Okay.
and a mint leaf.
Okay. Let me grab you some ice cream.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. It's just this is just plain vanilla ice cream.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, that's
I'm
looking
actually
good.
going to add 1 scoop.
Okay.
And I'm going to put a small mint leaf on top. There you go.
And there we have our stone fruit compote over crepes with vanilla ice cream.
Yep.
Prepared specially for us by our guest today, Alyssa Colon from the SciPEC Center for Mercer County Vocational Technical Schools. We want to thank Alyssa and Chef Engel for bringing her on over. We'd like to have you join us here at the Culinary Center at Mercer County Community College. We hope to see you online or come and visit us in person and come and play in our kitchens. I got to try this. Thanks for joining us.